Welcome to Invest Insights. I'm Abby Maloney. I'm joined today by Robert Sacco, the Office Managing Partner of the West Palm Beach office for Fox Rothschild. Robert, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So when we spoke to you for our Invest Palm Beach report, we spoke about the strength of Florida's law schools as well as young legal talent. With the lack of in-person interaction caused by remote work this past year, how has your firm transformed your apprenticeship model in order to acclimate and train these young legal professionals when they join?
It's been an interesting year. We had 28, I believe, first-year associates this year. And of course, with everything going on, with COVID, it's been a challenge to integrate them. But we have tackled the problem in several different ways, using virtualization technology like we're using right now, through training, and also through town halls. We do, for example, in the training area, we're doing a completely virtual summer program, or we've just completed, I should say. And it was interesting because when COVID forced the closure of the offices, the firm very quickly pivoted, transitioning to a virtual model. And they came up with a number of different programs that allowed the new associates to feel they were part of the firm and were being integrated with the culture of the firm. Different kinds of programs for different settings. Programs, in some cases, based on PowerPoint and videos and kind of real-time Q&A type scenarios. In some areas, we rolled out entirely new programs for first-year associates that were developed specifically with the idea in mind that these were going to be virtual programs. And of course, most importantly, given everything that's going on, they got training in virtual communications, like this kind of a format. These are all kind of important areas. But in addition to those, sort of the formalized training that they would get in those ways, one of the things that we were concerned about is personal wellness for our new associates. And it's easy to feel disconnected when you're not directly within the office and you're tuning in remotely. And so a couple of things that we focused on were training programs in sort of resiliency and mindfulness, and just sort of helping them through the process. And then we did for not just for our associates, but for our entire offices in general, each individual office like our own focused on town halls, where we encourage partners and practice group leaders and office leadership to engage with people virtually. And it's not easy to do sometimes, and you kind of have to draw people out, but I think we've done a pretty good job of it. We do video meetings on a regular basis. We give firm updates, and we even do virtual happy hours, where we've done everything from play trivia games to share drinking, alcoholic beverage recipes. So it keeps people in touch.
I heard an interesting term in another one of my interviews, professional intimacy, which I think are two words that you wouldn't necessarily put together prior to this past year. But we've been pushed to find how to be intimate in a professional setting, given how remote we are.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And, it's kind of interesting because there are some people who, they're given the opportunity to do the remote working thing, but they especially for some of the new associates, they just want to be here. They just, they're tired. A lot of them were cooped up in their, final semester, or, were just cooped up over the whole part of the summer, and they just wanted to be in a professional environment. And so, for them, we've made accommodations. They're in the office, and, there's just something to be said for putting on a dress shirt and a pair of slacks and taking off the pajamas and coming into the office and actually, looking and feeling like a professional.
Absolutely. Stemming from the challenges of 2020, how has your approach to process transformed regarding the way that you provide guidance and services to your clientele, which I know ranges from the global communications markets to major defense contractors?
So, we were already using video conferencing technology like this before 2020, as many people were. But I think what's really changed is the comfort level that people have with the technology. Clients who might have traditionally preferred an in-person meeting or might have found a video conference to be an inadequate substitute for a personal meeting, they've come to recognize the convenience and the benefit that these meetings can have. And so I think for people who weren't necessarily doing it in the past, it's kind of opened the door to allow us to do that. And as far as demand for services are concerned, it's really been quite an astounding year. I think I'm trying to remember when we first spoke, but at the beginning of the COVID crisis, there was a real concern that there was going to be a downturn in demand for legal services and all sorts of services in general. The reality is, after a period of adjustment over the summer, we've been as busy as ever, really, and it's turned out to be a very solid year for us.
Are there any particular products or services that you saw the most demand in?
No. It has been really, there have been some areas where it was a little soft over the summer, and in some of the real estate areas and things like that. But in general, we've seen a pickup across the board. Things have been busy, deals, litigation, patent filings, which is kind of work that I do. After a lull over the summer, things really started to pick up and ramp up, and we're starting to see, the creative juices flowing and people getting back to seeking new, to file new inventions and get protection for the technology, things like that.
Over the last year, how has technology permanently transformed and changed the legal sector and the way that trials and depositions are handled? And how do you think that these changes will ultimately benefit businesses and individuals that you work with?
So that's a great question. Like it or not, I think that virtual hearings and trials and depositions have been a necessity over the past year. As a practical matter, it's really been the only way to keep civil and criminal dockets kind of moving forward during the crisis. So the question is what's going to happen as we move past COVID and it's maybe no longer a necessity. And I think the thing is no one really knows exactly how that's going to look. I think that there has been a recognition that it's possible to do a lot of these things this way, and it's opened some people's eyes in that regard. But there are pros and cons to doing this stuff in doing video conferencing. It's obviously convenient, but it's different. You ask any litigator, about trying to do a deposition or talk to a judge or a jury on video, and it's just a different experience. You don't get the same. You miss out on physical cues and conversational cues that you normally pick up on. If somebody's looking bored, you might not see it, or if somebody looks like they're maybe prevaricating on an answer, you may not see that quite as well coming through in video. Another thing is just sort of dealing with the technology is challenging. Going to trial or hearing is always challenging, right? But when you have now as a litigator, you have this added layer of you've got to get your technology right, and it can be things as silly as, how's my microphone sounding? Am I coming through clearly? What's the lighting like behind me? And what does the environment look like? And so when you have that going on, so that's another thing that people have to think about. And then if any of it's not working right, heaven forbid your mic is not working, that creates an issue of credibility, really, because people look at you like, well, you couldn't get your mic working, and why should we trust what you're saying? And so there are those issues. It's challenging to deal with exhibits in a virtual setting. And for example, if you want to have a private sidebar, with the judge or something like that, it's doable. There, and you talk to the litigators about how they're doing it, and they're working around it, but it's not so easy. How do you step out of the hearing of other members in the court, other people who may be in the courtroom? So there's no doubt it's convenient, but as to exactly what it'll look like going forward, it's hard to say. There's certainly a cost savings associated with it. Attorney doesn't need to spend time traveling to court, an hour, fighting traffic for a 15-minute hearing, or halfway across the country for a deposition, right? But those cost benefits ultimately have to get weighed depending upon what kind of a matter it is. And I think really what this has done is it's opened up some new options for the way things can be done, and options are good. They give you different ways of doing things, and sometimes they may work, they may fit in with what you're trying to do, and other times they may not be appropriate. And I think that's what you're going to see. It's just another way of doing things.
Sure. Last year was an incredibly transformative year. We saw how the legal profession was pushed to transform, how businesses were pushed to transform, but it was also a year of personal transformation. How have you transformed after the experiences of 2020?
It's been a very interesting year. And one thing that I've really come to realize is how much the energy and vitality of the people that you work with can affect the way you feel about what you're doing and your energy towards work. And I think humans are social creatures, and I think that when we're with a team, when we're working together, and you can see those team members around you all working towards it, I think there's an energy that we draw from that. And I think that there's a people sometimes talk about their dream job involves a laptop working on the beach, and
Right.
and that's kind of a great thought, but the reality is that there's a disconnectedness that can come from remote work, and I think it's really, for me at least, it's made me appreciate the people that I work with more, and just value the opportunity to be able to get up from my desk after working on a brief or a patent application, and step into someone else's office and say, how you doing, or bump into somebody in the lunch cafeteria and chat for a few minutes, and hear about what's going on in their lives and in their cases with their families and so on. It's a good thing, and I found I miss it and I appreciate it more.
I think that we're all very much looking forward to be able to gather as we once were, and it's still uncertain when that exactly will be, but surely we will definitely, like you said, we are social creatures. We will find each other again.
I'm sure we will. We will.
Well, thank you again. That was Robert Sacco, the office managing partner of the West Palm Beach office for Fox Rothschild. My name is Abby Malone, and you've been watching Invest Insights. Robert, thank you again.
Thank you, Abby.
Hey everyone, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel so that you can stay up to date on the latest business trends from our knowledgeable experts. Be sure to check out the description below for more information on the segment you just watched.
Thanks for tuning in.